Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today I'm going to share some fun marker projects you can do with the kids in your life. I know school vacations are right around the corner and we're all looking for ways to keep the little ones entertained. This video is sponsored by Ohuhu and they have a brand new product out there, the Kainani markers. They're washable stamper markers and they come in this adorable carry bag which has a strap so the kids can actually wear it if they want to, go to grandmother's house or go in the car. They can actually keep this right on their person, but the strap will come off very easily if you don't want to as well. The nice thing about this bag is that it opens flat. Look at that. You could fit plenty of other materials in there too if you wanted to, and you can easily find the markers that you want while keeping everything right in the container. And that is really handy if you have a small desk where you're working or you just want to keep the mess corralled. Now the projects we're going to do today are going to use very simple supplies and I think they are going to be a lot of fun. Now before we get too involved, I want to share a tip for stamping with these markers. These are designed for kids, so they're designed to be kind of held in a grip, kind of like in your fist, and then you want to put the thumb over the cap of the markers and press straight down and hold it for a couple seconds to make sure you get a good impression. But I found one extra step that gives me perfect results every time, and that is to put a piece of fun foam underneath my paper and then repeat those steps, and look, I get a perfectly stamped image. So try that if you're having a hard time getting your stampers to look good. This kit contains 12 vibrant washable markers. The markers will wash out of fabric, they'll wash off of your skin and off of your table surface very easily. They're for ages 3 and up, so they're non-toxic, and also they have durable tips, so no matter what sort of use and abuse the kids give them, they are going to hold up. They have thick barrels that are easy for toddlers' hands to grasp, and the caps are interchangeable. They're clear, so when you're cleaning up at the end of a crafting session, you can put the purple cap on the yellow marker. It doesn't matter. And because the storage bag is so cute, the kids will love to put away their markers when they're done crafting for the day. Now that you know more about the Kainani markers from Ohuhu, let's get crafting. For this project, we're going to make a happy birthday card using a watercolor resist technique. All you need is some sturdy paper, I'm using watercolor paper, and some crayons or oil pastels. I sketched a cupcake with a light yellow crayon and now I'm filling it in with crayons or oil pastels. You can use either. I find oil pastels are more interesting to use with older kids, and younger kids prefer crayons because they're less likely to break and they're also a lot less messy. Younger kids can basically block in the colors, just try to color firmly and fill in that paper. And older kids can use oil pastels and add shading with darker colors and highlighting with lighter colors. I like to use a white oil pastel for highlighting. Just make sure you have a paper towel handy so you can clean off your oil pastel if it gets contaminated. You can also decorate the background of the image by adding dots or squiggles for the kind of appearance of confetti, and you can add a little shading under the cupcake to give it a little bit of depth. Be creative and add as many details as you want. Next, you'll need a non-porous surface. I'm using a plastic cutting mat from the dollar store, but you could use an old plate or a sheet protector, anything you have that's non-porous, and you're going to scribble a few colors of markers. Now you want to use colors of markers that are near each other in the color wheel. So I'm using greens and blues here to get kind of like a greenish bluish background. You don't want to use opposite colors like yellow and purple or red and green together because they'll just make mud. Now you spray it with some water to activate all that ink and then press your drawing face down into that ink. And there you've got a beautiful watercolor background. You can sop up any extra ink too to give it a little bit more color. Isn't that pretty? Then simply use a paper towel to blot off any ink that's beaded up on top of the waxy surface of your drawing. You can easily clean up your mess with a paper towel and a little spray of water if you need to. Any of the color that's left on that mat is actually from the oil pastel. I cut a strip of paper the same width as our focal point image, and I'm going to write the word happy using the red felt tip marker. Now this would be a good project for a parent to do if you're working with really young ones, and my tip for centering up a word is actually to start in the middle. So with the word happy, I'm starting with the center P and then working out, and then I will work back the other way. That's just my tip for keeping things lined up. It's something that I picked up when I was scrapbooking a lot. Now here's where you can get the kids involved. Give them a couple colors of marker and ask them to trace the lines. Now this will help build fine motor control and it will help them learn hand-eye coordination as well. So I'm just tracing around all of the red lines with the orange marker and then I'm going to repeat it with the yellow marker. Again, let the little kids do this so they can build their confidence with these markers. Another fun lettering technique you can try is to write out a word with big block letters, just line letters there, and then take a contrasting color and add a shadow to one side of each of your lines. This might be a fun one for older kids to try out. I thought this little panel would look cute with the border, so I'm laying it back on my little cutting mat there, and I'm going to use these chunky markers just to trace along the edge. It's really easy to do a fine border this way. And then when you're done, all you have to do is spray some water and wipe up the blue ink from your mat. I folded a sheet of red cardstock in half to make my card base, and now I'm adding some double-sided tape on the back of a focal image. Make sure it's dry before you do this. Then I'm centering it at the top of my card, and I'm going to put the sentiment on the bottom. And oops, you can see that I made a mistake on the back, but that's a great thing about watercolor paper. It's so thick, you can flip it over and use the other side if you make a mistake. So even though investing in watercolor paper can seem a little bit extra for little kids, you actually get a lot of use out of it because it's so durable. For this next project, we're going to need some shipping labels. They can be full sheet labels, or because these stamps are so small, they can be tiny labels as well. Now I've put my fun foam underneath my sticker paper or full sheet label paper, and I'm just stamping out some of these little cute fruits from the markers. You want to use the markers that have the darkest ink for the best results. Then use the markers with the lighter toned ink and the fine tips to color in your markers here. Now it may be a little bit messy because these markers do have big tips and those images are small, but do your best. They're going to look really cute when we're done. If you want a background color on your sticker, take a coin and trace around it with one of the lighter color markers and then just fill in the image. Then you can simply trim them out with scissors, or if you happen to have craft punches, you could punch them out with round punches or any other basic shape. This is sticker paper, so it could get gummy in any detailed punches, so just stick to the basic shapes for this one. Now you have your very own custom stickers that you can use to decorate envelopes or any other project you want. I think it would look really cute on this birthday card, don't you? A lot of the sticker paper or label paper will have little breaks in the back that'll make it easy for you to peel the backing off of your stickers, but I find that if you bend the edges of one of the circles that you've punched or cut out, it will also let the backing release pretty easily as well. This next project would make a beautiful decoration or gift for anyone celebrating a special day or just because you love them. We're going to start off by drawing a vase. Now, if you want to do a curvy vase like this, you can, or you can just draw a rectangle if you want to keep it a little more simple. Now, this is watercolor paper, so I can add a little bit of water to my sketch and move the marker ink a little bit. But we have our plastic cutting board there underneath that we can actually make some watercolor by scribbling our markers on that surface. I love this technique because it gives you a mess-free paint surface or a painting supply, and it also gives you another way to use your markers. So it's kind of like what we were doing when we made that background in the happy birthday card, but we're using it in a little bit more of a controlled fashion this time. If you want to define or darken some areas, you can go directly in with the marker on the damp paper, or if you want a softer look or to mix colors, you can scribble it on the plastic sheet. It works great, and it's just a fun way to experiment with your markers here. Now, one thing I will warn you about though is if you have a puddle of water on your plastic mat and you touch the tip of your marker into it, it will kind of drink up that water and it will take a while for the marker ink to get flowing back through the tip again. So just kind of beware and don't dip the markers in the water. I'm sketching in some stems and some leaves. These are basic lines and shapes. Any child can definitely get the hang of this. I'm drawing in some veins, and this is one of the darker green markers, so I'll be able to color over it with a lighter one and still have those veins show. This is kind of a fun technique because most people can draw a line. Actually, pretty much any child you ask if they're an artist, they're going to raise their hands and say yes, they are. So this is just such a fun project because you draw a shape for the vase, and you draw some lines for stems, and you draw some little teardrop shapes for leaves, and you can go back and forth between the markers and the marker ink on the plastic mat. And it's just kind of a fun way to play with your supplies. I also love to spatter my paint, so you just pick up any leftover paint on the mat with your brush and just flick it on there. I just think it gives it a playful, fun, painterly look. And now I'm just taking some of the pink and just dabbing it in the background. I'm thinking of like how Baby's Breath or Queen Anne's Lace looks, or Goldenrod, and just kind of dabbing in some of those colors. Feel free to spatter on any colors you want. You can really get creative with this. Now I wanted to make a little tablecloth and bring a little pattern into this picture, so I just took the purple marker and drew a checkerboard, and then I'm going to take a flat brush and that same purple paint and just fill in every other square in the checkerboard, so it has a little bit of dimension and a little bit of color and a little bit of pattern. So that's something that can make your artwork a little more interesting, and something you can teach the kids that you like to craft with. Just add different things like spatters and patterns and different colors, and really just make the most out of the supplies that you have. I'm going to do a little spattering here with this purple because I love it so much, and then we're going to let that background dry and of course wipe up our mess. Now I had some leftover white party streamers from a party once, and I saved it for crafting. So all you got to do is roll up the streamers and then pinch the bottom of the streamers as you go, and it makes a beautiful flower. It's really up to you how large you want to make these. They're going to give you kind of a carnation or rose look, but you can vary how tightly you roll them, whether you try folding back the petals a bit. But for a kid's project, I just keep it kind of simple and just roll and pinch and roll and pinch, and you can see a beautiful flower develop right before your eyes. Now it's time to give some color to these flowers, and you can use whatever color you want. You could change it up for the holidays. You could do red for Valentine's Day, green for St. Patrick's Day. You could do oranges and purples for Thanksgiving. Really just have fun with it. So scribble your marker onto your plastic sheet and then wipe the ends of the flower through it, and then spritz the flower, and you'll see the ink wick down into the petals. Isn't that pretty? And I'll just keep dragging it through and spraying it until I'm happy with the amount of color that I have. I recommend that you make a few flowers in different sizes, just so you have a variety to work with when you go to put your painting together, when you go to embellish your three-dimensional painting. Now for the stems, I'm going to use the green marker and color that stem or hip area of the flower, and I'm going to spray it with water. That water is actually going to also help lock the shape of the flower in place so it doesn't unravel. It's kind of miraculous, this party streamer material, and you can find it at the dollar store if you don't have any leftover party streamers, or you could even take a coffee filter and cut it into a spiral shape and roll it up just like this and make flowers that way. So you get creative. I mean, you probably use a paper towel if you wanted to. Just have fun with it. Now it's time to embellish our painting with our three-dimensional flowers. I made 5 different flowers so I'd have a little bit of variety when I go to arrange them here. And basically I'm just seeing how they'll fit on the stems that I already drew. You can draw some more stems or thicken them up if you need to. Now I'm just using plain old white glue to attach them. And you don't even have to wait for these flowers to dry in order to attach them, but you certainly can if you prefer. I'm adding some glue to the back of the flower, and I'm being kind of generous with it, so it is going to take a little time to dry, so keep that in mind. But the reason I am adding quite a bit of glue there is because I want to make sure it's going to seep through those layers of my flower and really lock them in. I don't want them to unravel on the recipient as they're enjoying their beautiful painting. So think of this for Mother's Day. Wouldn't that be a beautiful gift for a child to give their mom or their grandmother? I totally think so. Having the variety of flower sizes also adds a little bit of interest to the painting and makes it extra pretty. I hope you enjoyed these projects today, and I hope it inspires you to craft with someone young in your life, whether you're a school teacher looking for ways that you can get more bang out of your markers in the classroom, or you're a parent or grandparent that wants to spend more time creating with your kids. These beautiful washable markers from Ohuhu will fit the bill. You can get your very own set of Ohuhu Kainani markers for $14.99 on both the Ohuhu website and Amazon. Simply search Ohuhu Kids Washable Markers or click the links in the video description and grab the coupon code to get the deal. Thanks for creating with me today. Until next time, happy crafting.